Hello, my name is Kinel Edward Embelica. I'm from St. Mark. I'm grade 7. This is my PT in TLE. Let's start. I'm starting with lesson 1 in TLE. Baking tools and equipment. Number 1 is baking oven. This is an example of a baking oven. A baking oven consists of source of heat. A baking chamber unusually equipped with steam humidifier and conveyor with facilities for loading and dough and unloading the bread, an automatic regulator system for the baking process, and device to recover the heat of lost gases. Next is microwave oven. Here's an example of microwave oven. Microwave oven. A microwave oven is an electrical oven that heats and cooks food, exposing it to electromagnetic radiation. It microwave frequency range. Next is baking pan. Example of a baking pan. Baking pan. Baking pan are used to hold runny batteries such as cake batter and thick solid masses of food such as savory hot dishes recipes. Baking sheet. Next is baking sheet. This is an example of a baking sheet. Baking sheet. A baking pan, baking tray, or baking sheet is often used for baking bread rolls, pastries, and flat products such as cookie sheets, cakes, Swiss rolls, and pizza. Next is cake pan. This is where we cook cake shape of round cake. Here's an example of cake pan. Cake pan can be round, square, rectangular, and available in several sizes. Next is mixing bowl. This is an example of mixing bowl. A mixing bowl is a deep bowl that is particularly well suited for mixing ingredients together. These come in many materials such as stainless steel, ceramic glass, and plastic. Next is muffin pan. Muffin pan or muffin tins. Example. A type of pan used for baking muffins. The pan typically will have 6 or 12 individual rounded pockets or holders connected to the tin and formed in the shape of a muffin. That is the muffin pan or muffin tins. Next is measuring cup. A measuring cup is here's an example of a measuring cup. I have two examples of measuring cup. One is for liquid The one is for dry and powdered all purpose. This one's glass. This one is metal. A measuring cup is measuring jug is a measuring kitchen utensil used primarily to measure the volume of liquid or bulk solid solid cooking ingredients such as flour or sugar. Next is measuring spoon. This is an example of measuring spoon. A measuring spoon is a spoon used to measure an amount of an ingredient, either liquid, dry. When cooking, cooking, me, cooking, measuring spoon may be made of plastic, metal, and other materials. Next is sheave sheaver. Sheave sheaver. Sheep sheaver are important and means for remo- removing particles and agglomerates from glaze and gob and bad slurries. This is oven thermometer. This is an example of oven thermometer. Oven thermometer, a utensil used to check the temperature of an oven. Of the reading can be compared of an oven dial with the use of an oven thermometer. Thermometer can be checked and ensured it remains consistent through hot and baking or roasting time. Next is weighing scale. Here's an example of weighing scale. Weighing scale are used to measure the weight of an item. To use a scale item which needs to be weighed, stones are put on the other side of to compare the weight of the object you have chosen. Ay, sorry, may I repeat again. Are used to measure the weight of an item. To use a scale, the item which needs to be weighed and put on one side of the scale, then unusually stone as put on the other side to compare the weighing of object you have chosen. Next is wire rack. Example of wire rack. A cooling rack, also known as simply as wire rack, is used to allow air to circulate to cool baked goods and to prevent them getting soggy from condensations. Next is wire whisk. This is what we use for whisking on baking. Whisking eggs, whisking egg whites. This is what we use. Here's an example of wire whisk. A whisk is a cooking utensil which can be used for blend ingredients smooth and to incorporate air into mixture, in process known as whisking or whipping. Next is spatula. Here's an example of spatula. Spatula. A spatula is a broad, flat, flexible blade used to mix, spread, and lift material, including food drugs, plaster, and paints. Next is straight spatula. Here's an example of spatula. The straight, the straight shafted spatula, the straight shafted spatula are most often used for scraping food from the sides or pots, sti- stirring ingredients, and carved bowls, folding ingredients into each other. There are generate there are generally made of flexible silicone and from into the shape of bowls, pans, and pots. Next is offset spatula. It's like the straight spatula but it's offset. Here's an example. Offset spatula, long narrow tubes that have thin flat metal blade or paddle at one end. The blade is blunt, not sharp, and is used for spreading frosting onto cake or pushing butter into oven layer in cake pan. Cake pan. Next is rolling pin. Here's an example of a rolling pin. Rolling pin is cylindrical food preparation utensil used to shape and flatten dough. Flatten dough, it means flattening the dough to make this example like pizza. Pastry brush. Example of pastry brush. Pastry brush is Pastry brush, also known as basting brush, is a cooking utensil used to spread butter, oil, or glaze on food. Glaze on bread, glaze on food, glaze on everything. Dough cutter or bunch scraper. Bench scraper. As an example, this is on wood. This is bread. Bunch scraper. A barn scraper, which is also called pastry scraper or dough scraper, is used in working with pastry bread and other doughs. It is a flat, rectangular piece of metal or plastic. Next is cooking cutter. Cookie cutter. A cookie cutter is an American and English biscuit cutter. Commonwealth English is tool to cut out cookies, biscuits, though it's a in a particular shape. These are examples of shape of a cookie cutter. Next is pastry bag or and tips. A pastry next Here's an example of pastry bag. Pastry bag and tips. A pastry bag or piping bag is an often cold or triangular shaped handheld made from different pliable and food safe materials that are used to pipe semi-solid semi-solid foods by pressing them through a narrow opening, one end fitted with or without tipping tip. It is used for many purposes, including cake decorations. We use pastry bag and tips for putting pastries in cakes, cupcakes, and other pastries. Parchment paper. Here's an example. Is a rolled parchment paper. Parchment paper. Baking paper liners or bakery release paper is callose cellulose cellulose based paper that has been treated or coated to make it non-stick. To make it non-stick for when you're baking, it will not stick on your pastries or cakes. It can remove easily. So your finished product will not have damage in downer side parts. Sealing wrap. Here's an example of sealing wrap. Sealing wrap. Sealing wrap. A plastic wrapping film saran wrap, cling wrap or food wrap is thin plastic film typically used for sealing food items in containers to keep them fresh. Next is muffin paper caps. This is what we use for muffin. This is what we use for muffin pan or muffin tins. We put it inside the muffin tins for the cupcake to not stick when you take out it's with the cupcake. Muffin paper cups. Muffin paper. Cupcake liner are papers used to conceal battery bound into muffin tins made of paper or foil. They are unusually corrugated and are often decorated. Most store-bought muffins and cupcakes come in lines. The next one is last two. Oh, sorry, I didn't give you an example of muffin paper cups. Next is hand electric mixer. A mixer is a kitchen utensil which uses gear driven mechanism rotate a set in a bowl containing the food to be prepared into automates the repetitive task or stirring, whisking, or beating. This is used to mix ingredients for baking. Cakes, pastries, and other. Standalone electric mixer. And this and hand electric mixer example. And this is a standalone electric mixer example. Standalone electric mixer. A mixer depending on the type of also called a hand mixer or stand mixer. A kitchen device that uses gear-driven mechanism to rotate a set of beaters in a bowl containing the food or liquid to be prepared by mixing them. Mixers help automate the repetitive task of steering, whisking, beating, or beating. This is the end of my presentation in my PT in TLE. I hope you like it, and thank you.